The moment most people retire, they do the same thing. They tell everyone, they post about it, they call their friends, they make dinner reservations, they start saying yes to every invitation that work used to make impossible. And I completely understand that impulse. After 30 or 40 years of showing up somewhere 5 days a week, the relief of finally being done is real, and it deserves to be celebrated. But here is what I have come to believe after watching this transition up close, both in my own life and in the lives of people I have known for years. The first 4 to 6 weeks of retirement are the most structurally important weeks of the entire chapter, and most people spend them celebrating instead of protecting themselves. I am not saying do not celebrate. I am saying before the calendar fills up with lunches and trips and family visits and all the wonderful noise of a newly retired life, there are 8 things that deserve your quiet, focused attention first. 8 upgrades that most people either never make or make too late after decisions have already been set in motion that are very difficult to undo. These are not exciting upgrades. They are not the things anyone talks about at retirement parties, but they are the things that will determine whether the next 25 years work for you or quietly work against you. I want to walk you through all 8 today, and I want to be honest with you about each one the way I wish someone had been honest with me. The first upgrade is your withdrawal strategy. When you are working, the financial question is relatively simple. Save as much as you can, put it in the right accounts, and let it grow. The direction of money is clear. It flows in. The moment you retire, that question reverses completely. Now the question is, which account do I pull from? How much? In what order? And what does each withdrawal decision mean for my tax bill, not just this year, but for the next 2 or 3 decades? Most people default to whatever is easiest, usually the traditional IRA, because that is where the bulk of the savings sits. But every dollar that comes from a traditional IRA creates taxable income. That income stacks on top of Social Security. It affects Medicare premiums. And once you establish a pattern of pulling heavily from it, you are setting a tax tone that compounds across 30 years. Before you spend a single dollar of retirement savings, you want to know which accounts you are drawing from in year 1. You want to understand whether there is a window for Roth conversions before required minimum distributions begin forcing the issue at 73. You want to keep your taxable income as controlled as possible while you still have that flexibility. The people who think this through before they pull their first dollar make genuinely better decisions for the decades that follow. The people who simply start spending from whatever is accessible often do not realize until years later how much that early pattern cost them. Get your withdrawal strategy clear before you tell a single person you have retired. The second upgrade is your health insurance. This one is time-sensitive in a way that makes it non-negotiable. If you are retiring before 65, your employer coverage ends when you leave, and the gap between your last day of work and the day Medicare begins is one of the most financially exposed periods of your entire retirement. You cannot wait until after your last day to figure this out. By then, the options have already narrowed, and the decisions you make under pressure are rarely the ones you would have made with time and information on your side. There are 2 primary paths for bridging to Medicare. COBRA, which allows you to continue your employer coverage, but at the full premium cost. And in most cases, it is significantly more expensive than people expect. Or marketplace coverage through the Affordable Care Act, which offers premium subsidies based on your income level. Here is where those 2 upgrades connect directly. The withdrawal strategy you establish in Upgrade 1 determines how much income you show on paper, and that income number determines whether marketplace subsidies are available to you and how much they are worth. With the right income structure, the savings across the gap years can be meaningful, potentially tens of thousands of dollars. With the wrong structure, the subsidies disappear entirely. Model this before you retire, not after. The window for making these decisions well is the quiet period before anyone knows you have left. The third upgrade is your estate documents. I want to say something honest here because I think it is the reason most people never actually do this. Updating your estate documents feels like planning for something you do not want to think about, so it sits on the list, year after year, quietly waiting. Most people drafted their will and power of attorney when their children were young and their financial situation looked completely different. Those documents have not been touched since. And in the years between then and now, everything has changed. Your accounts have changed. Your assets have changed. Your wishes have changed. The people you trust with different kinds of decisions may have changed. Retiring changes your income sources, your account structure, and your overall financial picture significantly. Your estate documents need to reflect who you are right now, not who you were 15 years ago. Your will or trust, your healthcare directive, your power of attorney. These are the documents that determine what happens and who has the authority to make decisions if something occurs that you did not plan for. Without current documents, those decisions get made by default, by courts, by whoever has the loudest voice in the room, and that is rarely what any of us would have chosen. I know it is uncomfortable. Do it anyway. Do it in those quiet first weeks before the celebrations begin and the calendar fills up and it becomes the thing you meant to get to, but somehow never did. The fourth upgrade is your beneficiary designations. This one takes about 30 minutes. It costs nothing, and it is one of the highest impact actions on this entire list. Most people set their beneficiary designations when they opened their retirement accounts, often decades ago, and have never reviewed them since. Here is what most people do not know. Your beneficiary designation overrides your will. It overrides your trust. Whatever name is on that form is where that account goes, regardless of what any other document says, which means if it is outdated, if it still lists an ex-spouse, if it skips a child who was born after you opened the account, if it was never updated after a significant life change, the consequences can be severe and irreversible. I know of a situation where a woman passed away with a retirement account designation that had never been updated the way she had intended. The account ended up passing to minor grandchildren rather than her adult children. The tax outcome was significantly larger than it needed to be. It required court involvement. It added complexity and cost and stress to an already painful time for her family. All of that from one form that was never updated. 30 minutes. Log into every retirement account you have. Confirm the designation on each one. Make sure the names reflect your actual wishes and your current life. Then confirm they are aligned with your estate plan. Do this before you retire if you can. Certainly before you start spending. The fifth upgrade is your insurance coverage. Retirement changes what you need to protect and what you no longer need to pay for. The insurance you carried during your working life was built around that life. Disability coverage made sense when you had earned income to protect. Life insurance made sense when dependents were relying on your salary. But if your earned income is gone and your spouse is financially secure, carrying those premiums on policies that no longer serve a purpose is simply an expense you can thoughtfully eliminate. On the other side of that equation, two types of coverage become more important in retirement than they ever were before: umbrella liability coverage and long-term care planning. Umbrella insurance protects your assets from a lawsuit or liability event. In retirement, when your assets are what they are and there is no future income to replenish them, protecting what you have built matters more than it ever did during your earning years. It is generally affordable, and the protection it provides is significant relative to the cost. Long-term care is the harder conversation, the one most people avoid because the scenarios it covers are uncomfortable to think about. But the cost of extended care, whether in home care, assisted living, or a care facility, can be substantial enough to reshape the financial picture of an entire retirement if it has not been planned for. Right-size your coverage before you retire. Drop what no longer serves you. Add what will actually protect the life you have built. The sixth upgrade is your cash reserve, and I want to be specific about what I mean here, because this is different from what most people think of as an emergency fund. While you were working, 3 to 6 months of expenses and savings was generally considered adequate. A paycheck was always coming. The reserve was a bridge for short-term disruptions. In retirement, there is no paycheck coming. Every dollar of spending comes from your savings, your investment accounts, or your fixed income sources. And that changes what your cash reserve needs to do. The starting point is a true emergency reserve, 12 months of living expenses in something stable and immediately accessible, not for your normal monthly spending, for the unexpected things, medical costs that fall outside your insurance coverage, a home repair that cannot wait, anything that falls outside of the plan you built. Beyond that, if you know there are significant purchases coming in the next 2 to 3 years, those need to be identified and set aside separately right now. A car, a home project, a significant trip. If those dollars are not clearly accounted for before you begin withdrawing from your investment accounts, those purchases create unplanned withdrawals at exactly the wrong time. Pulling from investments when the market is down because the furnace failed is not a financial strategy. It is a financial emergency that good planning prevents. Get specific about your cash position before retirement begins. It is the kind of preparation that quietly protects everything else on this list. The seventh upgrade is one that I added myself because I believe it belongs on every woman's retirement list, and I almost never hear it discussed. Build your own financial fluency, completely and independently. I do not mean read a few articles. I mean genuinely understand your own financial picture. Every account, every income source. Where the money is, what it costs to access it, what it will do over time, and what your monthly reality looks like in concrete numbers. For many women, and I say this without judgment because I understand exactly how it happens, the detailed financial management of a household has lived primarily with a spouse or a partner, not because the woman is incapable, because life organizes itself that way, and there is always something more pressing to attend to. But retirement changes what is at stake. If something happens to your partner, illness, incapacity, death, you need to be able to step fully and immediately into the financial management of your life, not learn it under pressure, not figure it out while also grieving. Know it already. Be fluent in it before you need to be. I want every woman watching this to be able to answer these questions clearly, right now, without asking anyone else. What accounts do we have and where are they? What is our monthly income in retirement? And where does each dollar come from? What is our withdrawal plan and why? What does our estate plan say and when was it last updated? If any of those questions gave you pause, that is your starting point. Not someday. Now. Before you retire, or in those quiet first weeks before the rest of the world knows your life has changed. The eighth upgrade is your Social Security strategy. Most people look at their Social Security statement, look at the monthly benefit amounts at different ages, and make their claiming decision based on which number looks best. That is not a strategy. That is a guess. The right claiming age is not about which age produces the largest monthly check in isolation. It is about how your Social Security benefit interacts with everything else: your withdrawal plan, your tax picture, your Medicare premiums, the income thresholds that determine how much of your benefit is taxable. And for married couples, the survivor benefit implications of who claims when. Claiming at the wrong time does not just affect your monthly income. It affects your tax bill for years. It affects your Medicare costs. And for the surviving spouse, it affects the financial reality of an entire life lived alone after a partner is gone. Run a proper analysis before you claim. Not a calculation based on the monthly number. A full picture analysis that puts your Social Security decision inside the context of your complete retirement plan. The people who do this early lock in a timing that creates the best long-term outcome. The people who claim based on the monthly number often never realize a different approach would have served them better. They simply live with the result for the next 20 years. Here is what I want to leave you with. The moment you tell people you have retired, your calendar fills. Quickly and joyfully, and in all the best ways. Lunches and trips and grandchildren and everything you spent 40 years looking forward to. And all of that is waiting for you, every bit of it. But these 8 upgrades, your withdrawal strategy, your health insurance, your estate documents, your beneficiary designations, your insurance coverage, your cash reserves, your financial fluency, your Social Security strategy, they require something that a full and celebrated retirement life makes harder to find. Quiet. Focus. The space to think clearly before the world has an opinion about how you should be spending your time. That window is short, and it does not come back. Use it well. Protect what you have built before you begin enjoying it fully. The celebration will be so much sweeter when you know the foundation underneath it is solid.